nice article in the Managing Madrid blog. Wonderful lads that do a great job there. And worth reading about that man there. Karim Benzema needs to rest, and the numbers reveal why.
Times ended up almost looking like a 6-3-1. Some very good writing about that on the Managing Madrid website. First-rate podcast as well. Of course, Fede Valverde was a huge part of the equation.
Hello and welcome to the Managing Madrid Podcast. It's November 26th. I am Kiyan Sobhani. I'm flying solo today. We are doing a solo pod, and we're recording this shortly after Real Madrid win 4-3 in Olympiakos, which ultimately is a good result. But somehow we gotta make it difficult. Real Madrid will never let us go a full 90, just play comfortable, feel comfortable. We gotta suffer. That's how it is. In that sense, a classic Real Madrid Champions League performance, which was a roller coaster. There was bad, there was good, there was great. Then there was bad, then there was shocking, and then ultimately 4-3, and we're out of here. So let's talk about it. Also, sorry for the late start. As you guys know, we try to remind you guys as much as we can that we really can't start on time after the games in most cases because we're working. We can't just we can't just hit live at the full-time whistle. We have deadlines. We're working, and we take a break from the work to do this important content for you guys, and then we got to get back to it. It's a long night for us, but we have a lot to address. As always, if you have super chats, hit them in now. We'll do a super chat segment at the end, and we will do them all at once. All right, so let's start from the top. Congratulations to Vinicius Jr., who is now tied with Cristiano Ronaldo and Karim Benzema for the most Real Madrid Champions League assists. I remember a while back, it was like shocking that he had surpassed Luis Suarez in goals in the Champions League. And I always brought it back like, this is literally why he's the most decisive player in this tournament in the past 3 to 5 years. So it was great to see him in this form. I think this was the best Vinny performance. My two favorite Vinny performances this season were this one and the Clásico. The Clásico, I think you could argue that one was better because of the scale of the opponent. This one I felt like actually was my favorite because it felt like so effortless from him, and the game was just flowing through him. But I do want to, before we get into Vinny and Mbappe and their connection and how good it looked tonight and some of the other stuff, obviously. We'll take it from the top. When I saw the starting lineup, obviously one of the themes with Xabi Ball is you can't really predict what he's going to do. You have no idea. And even for his unpredictability, when I saw Ferland Mendy in the starting lineup, I was just blown away. Like, eyes wide open. Just could not believe. I had to look 3 times to make sure I was reading it correctly. In part because when was the last time he played? I genuinely cannot remember when was the last time I watched Ferland Mendy play football. But what I do know is that it's been a long, long time, months and months, and I was just shocked. I just assumed that when he would come back eventually, if he ever did, because I remember saying in the summertime that he's not a Xabi Alonso style fullback. And I just imagine if we ever saw him, it would be gradually eased into it. We saw Fran Garcia start. Obviously, that's another unpredictable thing that happened last game. But I got to say, I really liked Mendy today. I liked him. He looked very solid. He didn't look rusty at all. He was very strong on the ball. In a lot of ways, a lot of the vintage classic Mendy stuff just happened. You couldn't take the ball off of him. He was very good 1v1 in his individual defensive duels. He could carry the ball. I liked Ferland Mendy today. I was really, really pleased what I saw from Mendy today. Certainly in the defensive meltdowns that happened in the second half, I think Mendy is pretty exempt from any blame today. Let's run through the start of the game in the first half and all the stuff that happened. Obviously, it was a pretty poor start to the game because you go down a goal. Now, this is on the back of 3 games where you've been pretty poor as well. So it's kind of like feeding into like this momentum spiral that you're witnessing. And the Olympiakos goal was pretty incredible, to be fair. There are some goals that you can't really do anything about. In that particular sequence, um, it kind of started when Mbappe turns in midfield, turns his marker, but then runs out of room and loses possession. That goal, as great as it was preventable for me, and it goes to Fede Valverde and his tracking. That was his man. And I think Fede Valverde obviously wasn't the only one who was poor defensively, or at least at times poor defensively with his marking and tracking runners. But in that particular sequence, he doubled up on the guy with the ball with Tchouaméni. Then when it was clear Tchouaméni had one guy and then Fede had the other one, when the 1-2 was played, Fede didn't track the goal scorer. That should have been prevented. I got to say, at that point, when we go down 1-0, I was incredibly pleased with our response to that. And it starts with the first goal that we scored. What a pass to Mbappe from Vinicius. It reminded me of another goal, and you guys probably will remember the details better than me, who it was against. I remember it was at the Bernabeu. I think it was last season. It was a very similar goal that we had a Vinny Mbappe connection last season that looked very similar to that, where Vinny gets the ball around the halfway line. I think that one he actually played it outside the boot. This one, he looks up, Mbappe is making the exact run he's supposed to make. Vinny finds him perfectly, and Mbappe makes a great finish. And I thought to myself, like, man, when we signed Mbappe, that is what I envisioned them to be doing to all of Europe, game in, game out. And it was just, it's just such, it was like bittersweet. It was like such a beautiful yet simple goal. There was a simplicity to it, and that's what made it so beautiful. But we just haven't seen that connection consistently enough. But throughout the whole game, their connection was unbelievable. Vinny had another assist to Mbappe. Vinny should have had a third assist because he set up Arda Güler on the plate. You guys know exactly what play I'm talking about, where Arda Güler, I don't know what he was thinking there. Like, someone has to, like, tell him, hey, dude, it's okay if you don't pass to Mbappe for 1 second. That's a goal. That should have been a Vinny assist. Nevertheless, Vinny was fantastic from a creative standpoint. His disallowed goal also was very nice finish. It reminded me of his goal against Liverpool. It was great to see Vinicius at that level. He was just dismantling defenders and setting up his teammates, and it was just really encouraging to see. Mbappe, obviously, like, what can you really say about him? Like, I don't even have that much of an analysis on Mbappe, funny enough, because it's a pretty simple analysis. He made the right off-ball runs. His finishing was fantastic. And he scored, I think, the second fastest hat-trick in Champions League history. I think the fastest one was Salah against Rangers about 3 years ago. And then obviously added a fourth goal. Olympiakos lost 3-4. All 4 goals were to Mbappe. I actually have no idea what the XG is. Maybe if I can look it up. I'm actually kind of curious to see where it landed for both teams. Maybe I'll try to find it later in the podcast. But yeah, I mean, all 4 of those goals that we scored were beautiful. The disallowed goal was beautiful. I think where the frustration is, like, that's to me like kind of getting the good stuff out of the way. By the way, the Güler assist to Mbappe was also very nice, right-footed. Mbappe header, we see that it's more rare than a solar eclipse. By the way, Trent Alexander-Arnold, take a bow, man. Fantastic tonight. Building on the performance he had last game. But today, his ball progression looks so beautiful. It's so effortless when he just looks up. It's literally maximum 2 touches. Sometimes literally it's not even a touch. He just looks up and knows exactly where it goes. It's rare. I don't know if I've seen, apart from Toni Kroos, a player being able to get it from point A to point B so quickly, regardless of where point A is and where point B is, if that makes any sense. He could be deep in his own half at the corner flag, look up with the right foot, hit it without even having to take an extra touch, and hit it long diagonally into Vinny's path. He had a couple of those today. He had one with his left foot, first touch to Mbappe in the box, and Mbappe was offside in that sequence. Trent, man, this fantastic. He's such a problem solver. It's just an incredible asset to have. His ball progression, he looks so comfortable. So that's kind of some of the good stuff out of the way. I'm just shocked that like it looked so good from. Can we actually put a minute on it? Excuse me, a start to finish, like where we would say that period began and where it ended. If we look at the SofaScore attacking momentum chart, I'll share my screen with you guys. I like you guys to see this as well. Here it is. So like right around, excuse me, right around here, Olympiakos score here. We're the blue. It's pretty much like that entire, starting with the goal, Mbappe's first goal, and ending, I'd say, around the 50th minute. And then Olympiakos score. And then we score a little bit later. And then it just become uncomfortable. And look at this to end the game. It's just like bad defending and Andriy Lunin. Shout out to Andriy Lunin too as well. I should have mentioned him as one of the positive talking points. Ever reliable, the best backup goalkeeper in the world. He's way too overqualified to be our backup goalkeeper. And we should just all be very thankful that he has accepted that role, because what an incredible asset to have. You know, to lose the best goalkeeper in the world, Thibaut Courtois, to gastroenteritis, and then come in and have Andriy fucking Lunin as his backup to make sure we win this game is an unbelievable luxury to have. So, yeah. And to me, like, ultimately, despite the great game from Vinny, the great game from Mbappe, the great game from Trent, still we left this actually somehow more pessimistic than optimistic. I don't know how you guys feel about it. By the end, I was like, that was not as encouraging as I thought it was going to be. The defending is still super poor. The obvious thing that I haven't even mentioned yet is that Olympiakos literally rolled the red carpet out for us defensively. They basically played us the exact same way that we would like to be played against. Like if we had to like handpick, like, hey, this is what the defensive line needs to be in order for us to cook, we would basically just replicate Olympiakos' defense. High line, a lot of space. They did press kind of efficiently early on, but there was just so much space to work with. And actually, I think part of the second half kind of comeback from them was that they actually fixed it a little bit and that they actually defended a little deeper, which actually helped their offense because they started to congest space and they were able to find more holes in transition. You look at the defending in the second half, man, and it's like, again, from people who generally are so reliable. I mentioned the Fede Valverde tracking in the first half. The second goal, Mehdi Taremi, shout out to Mehdi Taremi, fellow Iranian. Congratulations on your goal. I've actually had a decent track record of Canadians and Iranians scoring against my favorite club. Chouameni was initially man-marking Taremi and completely lost him. You can't let him shake you off that easily. Chouameni had no idea where Taremi was by the end of the play. And then the third goal that Olympiakos scored, the most preventable header ever. Seriously. He just walked into the box. Bellingham, fresh legs, Jude Bellingham. Literally had a chance. Had like multiple chances to track that and stop that goal. Alvaro Carreras, makeshift center back, who was like a mixed bag to me. He had some good, strong moments defensively in center back position, good moments escaping pressure. But then like stuff like this, it's like he should have also prevented that goal too. You had Bellingham and Carreras, and the goal scorer sneaks in between both of them, and it was inexcusable marking. Stuff like that just doesn't give me much confidence. I also think the subs were not great today. I'd have to go through it. I mean, Ceballos looked like one of his legs literally were not working. Like he looked like he was playing with one leg. I can't explain it. He looks leg heavy. He looks like everything is just difficult and labored. Like there's like someone almost like holding his legs on the field so that he can't move. Simple passes, he just overcomplicates it, overthinks it, holds on to it for too long. Ceballos was really poor. His second poor game. Um, what were the other subs? I mean, I remember Fran Garcia for Vinny like the 90th minute, which was largely inconsequential at that stage. Brahim in for Asensio, which is when Tchouaméni shifted to center back. I don't get the fascination with Brahim in the form he's in, to be honest with you. Who else? Uh, can't. I mean, you guys know I love GG. You know, I kind of just imagine that we saw our monthly GG cameo already against Elche. Camavinga, I thought was a mixed bag. He had some good challenges, but some really poor moments on the ball. Fede as well. Asensio was a mixed bag as well. He had some strong defensive challenges, but some poor tracking as well. You know, ultimately, like we kind of have to be thankful that this was Olympiakos tonight and not like Arsenal. Like I watched some of these games. Like I watched Chelsea play yesterday. I watched um uh PSG Bayern. What were other some of the big games where I felt like they were kind of like I didn't see Arsenal Bayern today. Obviously, it was at the same time that I saw like Arsenal beat Bayern. And looking at the numbers, they thoroughly deserved it. If we played like an Arsenal Bayern or PSG tonight, it would have been pretty ugly. I still am not. I don't think this team is where it needs to be. We had a good chunk of attacking sequences where there was a ton of space and Vinicius cooked and Mbappe cooked, but it's still not at the level it needs to be. But, as I always say, kind of at this stage of the season, get the W, fix it, tweak it, come back stronger, buy yourself time. These are group stages. Hopefully, there's still a lot of work to do. All right. I think I'm going to do super chats. And hold on a second. Any quotes that I want to deal with first? Chabi Alonso says the important thing was to win and break the cycle we were in, to feel that feeling again. The 3 points are very important to try and make the top 8. It was a hard-fought and close victory, but we needed it. Despite being 1-0 down, we didn't panic. We turned it around. Second half was more about moments for everyone, for them and for us. Vinny was very good, as well as Mbappe. We need everyone. Today, Kylian really stood out with his goals, but today was very important to change the dynamic. We are all united. We know the season is going to be very long and demanding, and there will be all kinds of moments. Unity is fundamental, trust in each other. There will be times when we have to know how to persevere and not fall apart. Today's victory is a step forward. Yeah, I don't think there's anything. That was all. Those were all of Chabi's quotes in the press conference. Mbappe speaking as well. We need to review the match. We had the game under control and created chances, situations. We have to keep going like this and look at the positives and improve on the negatives. My teammates gave me quality passes. I'm very lucky to play on this team. With these teammates, I always try to score. All right, cool. I'm going to do super chats. If you guys have super chats, super chat segment is coming up. I see we already racked up quite a few. By the way, there's I'm just looking at the chat now. There are people here like in the chat. There's someone here in the chat I can see liking, engaging, pretending like, watches every show, is single-handedly responsible for talking so much shit about this podcast on Twitter with your viral tweets and your anti-Managing Madrid agenda. And you come here, I don't want to embarrass you. I'm not going to say your name because I literally don't want to embarrass you. I feel bad for you. But you come here and you pretend to be all buddy-buddy and like the podcast and like our stuff. And you talk so much shit about us on social media. Just check yourself, man. I'm not going to say your name, but because I don't want to embarrass you, but I see you here pretending that you love our stuff, and you do, but you go on Twitter and you do shit for engagement, and you have the balls to come here and pretend like everything's okay. Absolute coward. Why don't you say all this shit you say about us here in the chat? Say it. All right, super chat. We got 5 racked up. We're gonna start with Mr. Sushi. The fuck was that? Suffer ball for no reason. Hey man, is it a Real Madrid game if you don't suffer? When was the last time we truly didn't suffer all game? Like in like I'm not talking about Valencia at home, but like one of these games. It's part of the Real Madrid DNA, bro. Ancorjoti Bordoloy says Carlo Ball is back. Olympiakos handed us the win with that high line and poor defending. Carreras, Fede, and Jude poor. Kamavinga shaky. Mendy didn't create any supporting runs. Mbappe, Vinny connection was refreshing. Arda, TAA, great. Is there anything I disagree with here? Olympiakos high line and poor defending helped us. Carreras, Fede, and Jude poor. I would probably agree with that statement, although I get in Carreras' case, I think he was a mixed bag. Jude, as you mentioned, and Fede should have done better tracking on 2 of the goals respectively. Kamavinga shaky again. Yeah, I'd say mixed bag. Mendy didn't create any support runs. This is who Mendy is though, but I thought Mendy was solid. Actually, he did. You remember that play where Vinny early on? This was I think before any goal was scored. Vinicius carries the ball forward, has a great turn in midfield, carries the ball forward, and shoots from outside the box. And it was a great save from the keeper. Mendy actually made an overload in that situation and dragged the defender away. So I was very proud. Mendy can make those runs. He generally doesn't, but I think maybe that's a little bit of like Carlo Ball DNA ingrained in him, in that under Carlo, he wouldn't really cross the halfway line much. But when he did, even if he didn't get the ball, it would help decongest the space a little bit. And it was kind of puzzling because I remember we would do these scouting reports on Mendy at Lyon. And Mendy was actually a very capable attacker at Lyon. So, something shifted, but I thought he was solid today. Ifti Mohammed 3312, 3 left backs playing at the same time. Chabi, questionable subs. I think we went over it, but I think one of the things I didn't go over that this reminds me of to go over it, the 3 left back thing. I mean, part of this was very situational, right? We have a bunch of defenders missing, and so we had this makeshift Carrera center back, Mendy left back thing. And then when Fran Garcia comes on, there's like 5 minutes left maximum. That was like in the 90th minute. There were 5 minutes injury time, so it was about 4 minutes left. But one thing that I thought was noteworthy to address is that one of the things I've been disappointed with Xabi Alonso so far is a lack of youth players integrated. I really am surprised about it. And not even John Garcia, but like Gonzalo Garcia. I'm mixing Jean Martinez and Gonzalo Garcia. Not just Gonzalo Garcia, but even like the fact that we had like no center backs today and we couldn't call up any Castilla center backs even in the squad. That's stuff I've been kind of low-key disappointed with this season. Duality of Xabi ball. Sometimes unprecedented pressing, suffocating teams. Sometimes all 3 left backs are on. Will GG only come on when we chase games? It's a very unpredictable thing, Zaydal. You're right. The pressing thing I can only explain, and again, we didn't really press today. Although, what does Mark Statsbot say about our pressing? It's been actually a while that you guys know. If you guys are OG listeners, one of the things we tend to do is bring in Mark Statsbot, the greatest bot on Twitter, who always has these great analytics posted after the game. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen. This is a throwback. Guys, and also just remind me on post-game podcast to talk about Mark Statsbot more. Hold on a sec. Mark Statsbot. You guys should all follow this account, by the way. It's a great account. Hold on. All right. Mark Statspot. So he just automatically tweets out all the analytics from like every game. So Olympiakos 3, Real Madrid 4, XG 1.8 versus 2.4. Expected threat 1.5, 1.33. Possession mostly in our favor. Field tilt in Olympiakos' favor. Field tilt, if you guys don't know, is actually a very good barometer of which team dominated or which team had more of the ball in the final third. And Olympiakos is a pretty high number there. It actually surprised me a little bit. I wasn't impressed with our performance necessarily, but that's more than I thought it was going to be. Passes per defensive action. Look, 10.5 passes per defensive action, which shows you how aggressive our press was, which was not very aggressive. There were times in the second half where I thought our counter press was actually good. But it's a far cry from what it was at the beginning of the season. And I'll still go back and say it. Our press home and away is wildly different. We're much more conservative away than we are at home. So we lucked out today is my theory, in that we played a team that deploys the high line, will give us space in transition. But Liverpool, man, again, they lost today. Fans leaving the stadium early. That looks worse and worse every day that we lost to them. Not only lost, but got shellacked. But teams who know how to snuff out space and not give you those moments away from home, we tend to really, really look out of ideas in those situations. We look better at home because we're just more aggressive and more daring at home. And I think that needs to flip. We need to replicate that in away games. Which reminds me, Zaydal, before I move to the next super chat, the other thing I forgot to talk about today was that you guys have to go to moji-mates.com. I don't know how else to say it. They got new stuff, and it's a Black Friday sale. You want a discount? I think it's 30% off. You can literally use the code Black Friday. I put it on the screen there. Moji-mates.com, MOJI-MATES.com. Black Friday is the code. One word. And you get a discount. And you got BBC stuff. You got new hoodies. You got a Tony Cruz thing that just dropped. You got caps. You got bags. Christmas is coming up. Stock up, guys. Stock up and get some Moji Mates swag. Moji-mates.com. Use code Black Friday. All right, a couple more super chats. And then we're going to wrap it up. Ed Sylvester 751, our YouTube member, says trophyless again this season. Unless Barca screws up like us in the league, this team just has an issue at the core, and we need to try it and fix it now before we become another Manchester United. I read the last two words, Manchester United, and I literally had shivers up my spine. Like I almost threw up of the idea of turning into that. I think we're far away from that. I'm not. I also think the trophy listing is also. We're in November. Like we're still too early to really gauge. I think one way or the other, you can't overreact or underreact. And that's why we put out over 1 hour podcast yesterday, I think it was, where we talked about all the issues surrounding the club, the Vinicius contract and all the stuff his camp is leaking and all that stuff. You can't overreact to it, but you also can't pretend it's not real. So you kind of got to meet middle ground and just talk about the reality of the situation. This team is still, people I think really struggle with just looking at the truth, which is always somewhere in the middle. We have a lot of work to do. We have some encouraging signs, but we have more questions than we have answers. And Xabi needs to find those answers, and he needs to find them fast. One more. Timmy B says Camavinga assisted the third goal. The Danny sub boggled me. So he did. Mario, good friend of the show, Mario Cortejena of The Athletic, reported that Camavinga actually had an injury. He went straight to the locker room, spoke with the doctors, and that's why the Camavinga Ceballos thing was not a pre-planned sub. It was due to Camavinga's injury. One thing I would question, and I don't have an answer to this. I'm just asking it literally. If Bellingham had, I think the word was muscle discomfort or muscle fatigue, one of those things. If he wasn't 100% fit, why did he go on the field? I don't have an answer to this. Maybe he was 100% fit, but not enough to start. But I'm just like, my thing is always like, if they're not like 100%, why are they in the field? It's more of a general thing. It's just I really, really dislike when we rush players back or force them on the field. So that's, I guess, my final thing I'll end with. Guys, this was a blast. Thank you for tuning in live. We will be back tomorrow for members. Lucas is doing, actually, we have 2 shows tomorrow for members. So Lucas is doing Madrid mornings. We're also doing our monthly Zoom call for La Liga tier members. If you want access to that, go to patreon.com/managing Madrid. You can also join on the YouTube memberships tab of this channel and get access to the content. And that's pretty much it. We're going to see you guys tomorrow. We also have a mailbag for members on Friday. We got a very, very busy week. And then next week, we got some special guests. And then we're off to Madrid for Celta Vigo, Manchester City. That'll be a jam-packed week. So it's nonstop, guys. Thank you for being part of this family. You guys are awesome. Hope for better days. And as always, Hala Madrid. Peace out.